Hey everyone, welcome to New York or Nothin, a YouTube channel I'm making to talk about my favorite thing on the planet, New York sports. Now, a lot of you guys who are clicking this video are expecting me to only talk about my favorite teams, the Yankees, Giants, and the Knicks. But I want to use this channel to talk about sports in general, from the MLB to the NFL to the NBA. Also want to talk about New York sports as a whole, because I really feel like New York sports right now is on the come up, with a lot of teams making a lot of moves to improve. Now, what better way to start off my videos than to talk about the reason I fell in love with sports, the reason I fell in love with basketball, the New York Knicks. Now, the Knicks are playing much better than we had anticipated them to play this year under the new regime of Leon Rose, his first full year, and with the new head coach, Tom Thibodeau. Now, Tom Thibodeau is known for two things: to play his boys to the ground and to have a strong defensive presence. And we're already seeing our team take on that role. Our team is already having a very strong defensive year, ranking about 6th in the NBA defensive rating and protecting the perimeter really well. A lot of this is coming from just teams missing a lot of shots, but at the same time, the Knicks defense is always setting up, getting prepared. Tom Thibodeau is often taking timeouts when he's noticing these defensive breakdowns and then just resetting the defense and making sure we're ready to play. Now, we're keeping a lot of really good teams under 85 points, like the Celtics, the Cavs, the Magic, who also started out really hot. So it's really nice to see our team holding these hot offenses down to very low point scoring. Now, unfortunately though, our offense hasn't been as hot as our defense, which is expected because we didn't really get too many improvements in terms of offensive players. We're more or less stuck with the same roster, but we've noticed that a lot of our players are playing better, including Julius Randle, who's on an all-star run, could be making the all-star game if you guys keep voting that hashtag NBA all-star, hashtag Julius Randle. Come on, make sure you guys are on it. Now, another really good player for us right now is Barrett, our cornerstone. He has been playing lights out. I feel like I've seen improvement in every single parts of his game. Now, he's with his extra 6 minutes a game scoring 3 points extra, going from 14.3 points per game to 17.8. He's also improved his field goal percentage and his rebounding and assisting, but the only thing that I've noticed that isn't as good is his 3-point shooting. Now, he wasn't necessarily a knockdown 3-point shooter last year, but because with his opportunities on the offense, he's taking more 3-point shots. So we're seeing a little bit of a lower percentage, but I think he'll keep improving. And once he gets that 3-point shot down, honestly, it could be a lot of trouble for a lot of Eastern guards, because this guy is a complete package, working hard, finally making his free throws, defensively there. He has a high basketball IQ, student of the game who's been around for so long. And, I'm just so excited to keep seeing RJ work and play better. I hope he's proven everyone who thought he'd be a bust wrong. Next player to move on to is the steal of the 2020 NBA draft, Immanuel Quickley. Immanuel Quickley had a career high 31 against a loss against the Portland Trailblazers, but love seeing the kid go supernova on this team, straining it on them from 3. And then unfortunately, the main problem with him is that he's a little bit inconsistent. So the next game he went 1 for 11 and had a poor shooting night, but then he bounced right back up with a win against the Cavs, going for 25 points in like 25 minutes, shooting like 5 for 8 from 3. Like, this guy, he could splash it. And the best thing about him is that on plays, he just doesn't give up. He's on offensive plays, he's always trying to draw a foul. And on top of drawing the foul on offensive plays, always knocking down those free throw shots. If any of you guys watched the Knicks last year, you guys would know that our free throw shooting was so poor. And seeing Immanuel Quickley knock down every shot he's making is good. It's a good sign. It's a good sign for New York basketball to finally have a competent point guard who can move the ball, who can put it on the floor, who can score. And my favorite thing has been seeing the Immanuel Quickley highlights on the back of New York Post instead of all these Nets highlights. Now, let's move on to another one of our rookies, Obi Toppin, who didn't seem too great at first, but is looking better. I know a lot of people are hating on him and expecting a lot from him just because he's a little bit older and seemed like he's more NBA ready. But you guys have to remember, this is not a regular season. We're coming off a pandemic. We're coming off of like this guy not being able to properly play fully in college, not being able to compete for his championship. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. So he didn't really have the time to polish his game. And you're noticing a lot lot of other rookies in this class being a little bit underwhelming in terms of their performances. They'll get better, they'll improve, and I'm really excited to see Obi continue to play because so far he's been looking pretty good in terms of taking better shots, in terms of looking more comfortable on the floor, and I'm happy with his progress so far. So, watch out for this guy. Now, let's talk about our big men play in terms of Mitch and Randall, who have been doing much better under the system of Kenny Payne, the big man whisperer. Randall is playing lights out. Our Kentucky Wildcat man is doing amazing things from, consistently putting up at least like 18 points a game, getting 10 rebounds a game, 5 assists per game. Like, there's a lot of improvement in his game, and I could definitely see him making All-Star this year, and I'm hoping for him to make All-Star. I've been recently trying to get into like basketball cards, so I'd really recommend to watch out for that Julius Randle card. It's, I think, a little bit undervalued right now. If he makes that All-Star game, I think the value will shoot up a little bit, and then it'll calm back down. But if any of you guys are into that, take a look at that. Now, it's definitely frustrating to see altogether that our offensive isn't clicking on a regular night. We're going from like a 5-game win streak to a 3-game lose streak to another 3-game lose streak to another 3-game win streak. It's a lot of bouncing around, but you guys have to be really patient with our team. This is a new coach who's finally putting in a system with a little bit of a rudderless roster, like quoting my man Woj from last year. We're definitely doing better, and our players are playing better because our coaches are allowing them to play better. But at the same time, you guys should be patient. We shouldn't have too many high expectations for this season because there haven't been too many improvements in terms of the roster and whatnot. Be happy with the improvement that we're seeing with our young players, with even our veteran players like Randall. And this is what makes New York an admirable market. This is what makes us get able to trade for players who want to play for us, who that gets like a team that really wants to play for New York, represent New York basketball. Now, let's wrap up this video by talking about a few other things going around in the sports world besides the Knicks. I know you guys are tired of hearing my naggy voice just ranting about the Knicks. Let's talk about the Yankees. The Yankees finally re-signed second baseman DJ LeMahieu, the fucking machine. He played great for us last year, and it was really frustrating to see that our team and DJ couldn't come to an agreement, but luckily they agreed to a 6-year $90 million contract, so we got him locked up for a while, and hopefully he keeps us competitive. We also signed 2-time Cy Young winner Corey Kluber on a 1-year contract, and hopefully he can improve our pitching because our pitching badly needs improvement. Definitely one of the weaker parts of our game. Shout out to the Mets right now. For real, shout out to the Mets. Steve Cohen just fired Jared Porter, a GM, because of previous sexual misconduct that he had while he was working for the Chicago Cubs. And I just love this from the Mets in terms of setting a culture, coming from a new team, zero tolerance for any sort of sexual misconduct. And I hope a lot of other teams in sports in general can follow what the Mets are doing. I hope the Washington football team is taking some notes because not too proud of them. Shout out to the Mets. They're leaving a really good example for baseball and for sports in general. Let's move on to the Nets. The Nets got their big three, Kyrie, KD, and who else but James Harden, one of the greatest offensive players in the game. They're playing really good in terms of everything is clicking in terms of offense, but defensively they're one of those teams that's letting up points against teams like the Cavs, letting them drop like 146 on them in a loss. And honestly, I hate to make the comparison, but then you got teams like the Knicks, for real. Like, look at the defense, man. We're holding the Cavs to 85 points. Like, if the Nets want to win this championship, statistically it shows defense wins championships. Not saying the fucking Knicks are going to win a championship, but the Nets really need to improve in terms of defense to really be part of that conversation. Move on to football. Let's talk about the Jets. The Jets are finally have hired a new coach, Robert Saleh, the first Muslim coach in the NFL, the first Muslim head coach. So shout out to him. Shout out to the Muslim community. Hopefully he can make a culture turnaround in New York for the Jets and help them improve, because the Giants are also trying to change their culture and improving, and even though they don't have the record to show it, they are definitely making improvements in terms of a winning culture, getting better and whatnot. And then finally, let's talk about the last football team in New York, the Buffalo Bills, the best football team in New York. The Bills are just coming off a loss against the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning Super Bowl champions, in the AFC Championship game. And honestly, man, the Bills played their heart out, man. Shout out to the Bills Mafia. Josh Allen was looking pretty good. Stephon Diggs was doing his thing. It's just Kansas City really decided to just turn it on, and they went for like 30-something points on them. They completely destroyed and annihilated them. So, you know, this was a really good learning experience and for them to get better. Excited for next week. Next week's going to be the Super Bowl. We get to see TB12 Tom Brady in his 10th Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes, GOAT versus Baby GOAT. Maybe I'll do a video about that. Maybe I'll talk about that a little bit. If you guys want, let me know. But that being said, thank you guys for sitting through and watching my video, my first video. Thank you for bearing with me through all this. I hope to improve and get better as I continue to make videos. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I really hope you guys can give me feedback in terms of what I could do better or what you guys want to hear me talk about. I know I'm not really qualified to talk about anything really crazy. I'm just a kid from Queens, but if you guys know anyone who's a fan of sports, a fan of New York sports, you know, please recommend my channel, and make sure you guys follow me on Instagram and Twitter on New York or Nothing. Peace.